The research ship Harmony moved slowly through the dark space near the Kepler system. It was not a big ship, but it was peaceful. Its blue and silver hull caught the light from distant stars as it drifted between floating rocks and ice chunks. Commander, Keth stood on the bridge watching the stars through the large window. He was tall, with blue skin that looked almost purple in the ship's soft light. His large, dark eyes could see things that human eyes could not. Like all Altari people, he had long fingers and moved with calm grace. "Commander," called Science Officer Nala from her station. She was smaller than Keth, with green skin and silver markings on her face. "We are getting strange readings from Sector 7. Keth walked over to look at her screen. Numbers and symbols moved across it in the Altari language. "What kind of readings?" "Energy, sir. But not like anything in our database. It is coming from something very old, very big." Dr. Voss, the ship's chief scientist, heard them talking. He was from a different world with gray skin and 4 arms. 2 of his hands worked on his own computer while the other 2 gestured as he spoke. Could it be a natural phenomenon? These asteroid fields often have unusual energy patterns. "No, sir," Nala said, shaking her head. "This is artificial. Definitely from a ship, but the energy signature, it does not match any known technology." Keth felt curious. The Altari Federation was always looking for new knowledge. They were explorers and scientists, not warriors. Their ships had shields and basic weapons, but only for protection from space. "Debris and small pirates. How far away is it?" Keth asked. "About 2,000 kilometers, hidden behind the largest asteroid cluster." "Take us closer," Keth ordered. "But carefully. If it is a derelict ship, we do not want to disturb anything dangerous." The Harmony changed course. Its engines hummed quietly as it moved through the asteroid field. The crew of 23 aliens worked at their stations, all excited about the discovery. They came from 6 different worlds, all part of the peaceful Altari Federation. As they got closer, their sensors began to pick up more details. The object was definitely a ship, but unlike anything they had ever seen. It was huge, almost 3 times the size of the Harmony. Its hull was dark, almost black, with strange markings and scars that looked like battle damage. "Commander." "Pilot," Jax called from the front of the bridge. He was young for an Altari with bright blue skin and eager eyes. "I am getting interference with our navigation systems." "What kind of interference?" "Unknown. The closer we get to that ship, the more our systems act strange." Dr. Voss looked up from his readings. "The energy from that vessel is very powerful. It might be affecting our electronics." Keth nodded. "Reduce speed. Take us to a safe distance where we can scan it properly." But as the Harmony slowed down, something else happened. Their long-range sensors, the ones that watched for danger, began to beep with urgent warnings. "Commander!" Nala shouted, her voice full of fear. "Multiple ships approaching fast. They just came out of hyperspace." On the main screen, dots of light appeared. 1, 2, 5, 10, 23 ships moving toward them at high speed. These ships were different from the ancient derelict. They were newer, with red and black hulls covered in weapons. "Vrak Empire ships," whispered Communications Officer Dex. He was old for his species, with pale skin and shaking hands. "Pirates." Everyone on the bridge felt cold fear. The Vrak were known throughout this part of the galaxy as brutal raiders. They attacked research ships, trading vessels, and even passenger transports. They took what they wanted and destroyed the rest. No one had ever reasoned with them or made peace with them. "Raise shields," Keth ordered, trying to keep his voice calm. "Send a message to Federation Command. Tell them our position and that we are under attack." "Shields up," reported Defense Officer Lin. She was the only warrior among them, but even she looked worried. "But Commander, our shields are designed for asteroids and cosmic radiation, against Vrak weapons." She did not need to finish. Everyone knew their research ship could not fight 23 pirate vessels. "Incoming message from the Vrak ships," Dex announced. "Put it on screen." The image that appeared made several crew members step back in fear. Captain Morrill of the Vrak filled the screen. He was huge, with red skin, sharp teeth, and small, cruel eyes. Scars covered his face and arms. Metal implants stuck out from his skull, and his voice was like grinding rocks. "Altari research vessel," Morrell growled. "You have entered wrack hunting grounds. Surrender now and we will kill you quickly. Resist and we will take our time." Keth stepped forward, trying to look brave. "Captain, we are peaceful researchers. We mean no harm to anyone. Please let us leave." Morrell laughed, a horrible sound. "Peaceful? Good. That means you will not fight back. Lower your shields and prepare to be boarded. We want your research data, your technology, and your ship. We do not need." The transmission ended. On the screen, the Vrak ship spread out in attack formation. Their weapons began to glow as they charged up. "Commander," Lynn said quietly, "our weapons cannot hurt ships that size, and there are too many of them." "How long until Federation ships can reach us?" Keth asked. Dex checked his communications panel. "The nearest patrol is 6 hours away, sir." 6 hours. They would all be dead in 6 minutes. Keth looked around the bridge at his crew. These were good people, scientists and explorers who had never hurt anyone. They had families waiting for them at home, children who would never see their parents again. "Captain," Jack said suddenly, "what about the old ship? The derelict? What about it? Maybe someone is still alive on it. Maybe they could help." Dr. Voss shook his head. "That ship has been dead for centuries. No life signs at all." "But the energy readings," Nala added. "Something is still working on that ship. Maybe an automated system, maybe a computer that could help us." It was a desperate idea, but desperate times called for desperate actions. "The Vrak ships will be in weapons range in 3 minutes, Lynn reported. Keth made his decision. "Dex, open a channel to the derelict ship. Broadcast on all frequencies. Sir, if no one is alive over there, do it." Dex's hands moved over his controls. "Channel open, sir." Keth took a deep breath. He did not know if anyone could hear him. He did not even know if the old ship's receivers still worked. But he had to try. "Unknown vessel. This is Commander Keth of the Altari Federation Research, Ship Harmony. We are under attack by Vrak pirates. 23 ships against 1. We are peaceful researchers with no weapons that can help us. If anyone can hear this message, if anyone is still alive on your ship, please help us. We will all be dead in 2 minutes." He paused, then added, "We have done nothing wrong. We only want to learn and explore. Please, if you have any compassion, any sense of justice, help us survive." The transmission ended. The bridge was silent except for the quiet hum of machines and the beeping of sensors tracking the approaching Vrak ships. 1 minute to weapons range, Lynn announced. Nothing happened. The ancient ship remained dark and silent. Keth closed his eyes. He had tried everything. Now all they could do was wait for the end. 30 seconds, Lynn said. The Vrak ships were so close now that they could see individual weapons ports glowing with deadly energy. Captain Morrell's flagship was the largest, with enough firepower to destroy the Harmony 3 times over. 10 seconds. Keth opened his eyes and looked at his crew one last time. "It has been an honor serving with all of you." But then something impossible happened. Deep inside the ancient derelict ship, lights began to flicker. Systems that had been sleeping for hundreds of years started to wake up. And in the deepest part of that old vessel, something heard Commander Keth's desperate call for help. Something very dangerous was about to wake up. And when it did, the galaxy would remember why some ships were left alone in the dark. Deep inside the ancient ship, something stirred. The vessel had been sleeping for 312 years. Its name was painted on the hull in faded letters. UES Retribution. It was a human warship from the old Earth Defense Fleet, built when humanity thought they were alone in the universe. In the ship's medical bay, 12 metal pods lined the walls. They looked like coffins, but they were actually cryo-sleep chambers. Inside each pod, a human had been sleeping for centuries, kept alive by machines and special chemicals. The ship's computer, called ARIA, detected the alien distress signal. Her electronic mind analyzed the transmission in less than a second. Peaceful researchers under attack. Pirates with superior numbers. Innocent lives about to be lost. ARIA had been programmed with one simple rule: protect the innocent. Lights began flickering throughout the ship. Power flowed through cables that had been cold for centuries. The massive fusion reactor at the ship's heart began to hum with life. In the first cryopod, Captain Marcus Reed felt warmth returning to his body. The special enhancements in his blood, put there by Earth's military scientists, helped him wake, up faster than a normal human could. Reed's eyes opened. They were gray, like storm clouds, and they held the memory of many battles. He was tall and strong, with short dark hair that had not aged while he slept. The enhancement process had changed. Made him faster and stronger than ordinary humans. "Area," he said, his voice rough from the long sleep. "Status report." The computer's voice came from speakers around the room. It sounded like a calm woman. "Welcome back, Captain. You have been in cryo-sleep for 312 years, 4 months, and 16 days. Reed sat up slowly. His enhanced body felt strong, but his mind needed a moment to process what Area had said. Over 300 years. Everyone he had known on Earth was dead. Everyone. Why did you wake me? Alien distress signal detected. Peaceful research vessel under attack by superior hostile force. Your standing orders were to respond to any call for help from non-combatants. Reed stood up and walked to a window. Outside, he could see the battle beginning. Bright flashes of weapons fire lit up the darkness. The research ship's shields were already flickering under the pirate attack. "Wake the crew," Reed ordered. Around the medical bay, the other cryopods began to open. One by one, Reed's officers and soldiers woke from their long sleep. These were not ordinary humans. Like Reed, they had all volunteered for the enhancement program. They were faster, stronger, and tougher than normal people. Lieutenant Commander Alex Torres was the first to wake after Reed. She was the weapons officer, a small woman with black hair and dark eyes that missed nothing. She had been born for war, and the enhancements had made her even deadlier. "Captain," she said, standing up and saluting. "How long?" "Over 3 centuries, Alex. We missed the whole show." Next came Major Ben Cole, the Marine commander. He was huge, with muscles like steel cables and hands that could crush rocks. His job was to protect the ship and lead boarding parties. Dr. Lisa Park woke up next. She was the ship's doctor and scientist, but also trained in combat. The enhancement process had been her idea originally. She looked young, but her eyes held centuries of knowledge. One by one, the rest of the crew woke up. Pilot Jake Ryan, Engineer Tom Beck, Communications Officer Kate Mills, and the others. 12 humans, all enhanced, all deadly, all dedicated to protecting innocent people. "Aria, show us the tactical situation," Reed ordered. A holographic display appeared in the center of the room. It showed the research ship Harmony surrounded by 23 pirate vessels. The pirates were taking their time, enjoying the fear of their victims. "Analysis," Reed said. Aria's voice filled the room with data. "Hostile vessels are from the Vrak Empire, known for extreme brutality and attacks on non-combatants. Research. Vessel is Altari Federation Peaceful Exploration Mission. Altari have no significant weapons." Reed studied the display. The pirates were spread out in a classic attack formation. Their weapons were primitive but effective against unarmored targets. The research ship would be destroyed in minutes. "Captain," Torres said quietly, "those aren't human ships out there." I noticed. "So we're not alone in the universe anymore." Reed looked at his weapons officer. "No, Alex, and it looks like the universe has the same problems we had on Earth. Bullies picking on peaceful people." Dr. Park was looking at her medical scanner. "Captain, the enhancement process worked better than we hoped. Our bodies show no signs of aging. We could live for centuries more." "Good," Reed said. "We might need that time." He turned to face his crew. These men and women had followed him into the enhancement program knowing they might never see Earth again. They had volunteered to sleep until humanity needed them most. People, Reed said. We went to sleep defending Earth from an alien invasion. We wake up to find humans are gone, but the universe is full of the same old problems. Pirates attacking researchers, strong picking on weak. Nothing has changed. Major Cole cracked his knuckles. The sound was like breaking wood. What are your orders, sir? Reed looked back at the holographic display. The research ship's shields were failing. In moments, innocent people would die while pirates laughed. We do what we always did, Reed said. We protect those who cannot protect themselves. He walked to the bridge, his crew following. The Retribution's bridge was built for war. Every station was designed for maximum efficiency in combat. Screens showed weapon status, shield strength, and enemy positions. Reed sat in the captain's chair. It felt good to be back in command. Torres, weapon status. All systems charging, Captain. Kinetic kill vehicles, antimatter torpedoes, plasma cannons, and particle beams. We have enough firepower to glass a small moon. Ryan, engines. Fusion, drive online. We can go from 0 to 30% light speed in 40 seconds. Mills, communications? All channels open, sir. I can talk to anyone in the system. Reed nodded. The Retribution was designed to fight entire fleets by itself. Against 23 primitive pirate ships, it would be like using a sword to fight children with sticks. But Reed did not feel sorry for the pirates. He had seen what bullies did when no one stopped them. These wrack had probably killed thousands of innocent people. Aria, full power to all systems. Bring us out of the asteroid field. Yes, Captain. The ancient warship began to move. Its engines, silent for centuries, roared back to life. The hull, scarred from old battles, began to gleam as energy flowed through its armor. On the bridge of the research ship Harmony, Commander Keith watched his shields fail. The Vrak weapons were tearing his ship apart piece by piece. His crew was scared, but they stayed at their posts. Commander, Science Officer Nala called out. The derelict ship. It's moving. Keth looked at his screen. The ancient vessel was coming out from behind the asteroids. Lights were turning on all over its hull. It looked like a sleeping giant waking up. Are they responding to our distress call? He asked. I don't know, sir. But that ship, it's big, and it's heading straight for the Vrak fleet. On the Vrak flagship, Captain Morrill was enjoying the terror of his victims, but then his sensor operator, a thin Vrak with nervous eyes, spoke up. Captain, there's another ship approaching. What? Who dares interrupt my hunt? Unknown vessel, sir. Very large. Very old. But, Captain, the energy readings are incredible. Morrill looked at his screen. The ancient ship was moving toward them at steady speed. It did not look like much. Just an old scarred hull with strange markings. Hail them, Morrill ordered. Tell them to leave or be destroyed. But before his communications officer could send the message, the ancient ship sent one first. The voice that came through the speakers was cold and calm. It spoke in a language none of them had ever heard, but their computers translated it automatically. This is Captain Marcus Reed of the Earth Defense Fleet vessel Retribution. Vrak pirates, you are attacking peaceful non-combatants. Withdraw immediately or you will be destroyed. Morrill laughed so hard he nearly fell out of his chair. Earth Defense Fleet? I have never heard of such a thing. One old ship against my entire fleet? This human must be insane. He opened a channel, back to the human ship. Unknown vessel. I am Captain Morrill of the Vrak Empire. You are outnumbered 23 to 1. Leave now or share the fate of these pathetic researchers. The response came quickly and it made Morrill's blood run cold. Vrak pirates, this is your final warning. Any ship that fires on non-combatants will be destroyed. We are the Earth Defense Fleet. We do not give third warnings. On the bridge of the Retribution, Captain Reed looked at his crew. They were ready for battle, their enhanced reflexes and training making them perfect warriors. Torres, target the lead Vrak ships. Show them what human weapons can do. With pleasure, Captain. The galaxy was about to learn a hard lesson about humanity. and Captain Morrell was about to discover why some sleeping ships should never be awakened. Commander Keth stepped off the shuttle and into the docking bay of the Retribution. He had expected to see a ship like his own, clean, peaceful, built for exploration. Instead, he found himself in what was clearly a warship. The walls were thick, metal painted in dark gray. Everything looked strong and practical. There were no decorations, no art, no comfortable chairs. This ship was built for one purpose: fighting. Major Cole was waiting for him. The huge human marine stood at attention, his enhanced muscles obvious even under his uniform. Keth, who was tall for an Altari, felt small next to the human soldier. "Commander Keth," Cole said politely, "welcome aboard the Retribution. Captain Reed is waiting for you on the bridge." As they walked through the corridors, Keth saw more of the ship. Everything was designed for war. He saw weapons lockers, armor, storage, and medical bays built to handle battle injuries. The crew they passed looked dangerous, all enhanced humans with the eyes of experienced fighters. "How many crew do you have?" Keth asked. 12, Cole replied. "We're all that's left." 12? But this ship is enormous. How can 12 people operate it? "We're not ordinary people, Commander, and Aria helps us." They reached the bridge, and Keth saw Captain Reed for the first time in person. The human captain was not as big as Major Cole, but there was something about him that made Keth feel nervous. Reed's gray eyes seemed to see everything, and his calm manner suggested someone who had seen many battles. "Commander Keith," Reed said, standing up from his captain's chair. "Thank you for coming. Please sit down. We have much to discuss." Dr. Park brought them drinks, something called coffee for Reed and water for Keth. The human doctor was small and seemed friendly, but Keth noticed she moved like a fighter too. "Captain Reed," Keth began, "I must thank you again for saving us. Without your help, we would all be dead." "You're welcome," Reed said simply. "But I need to understand something. Those Vrak pirates, are they part of a larger force?" Keth nodded sadly. "Yes. Captain Morrell's ships were just a small raiding party. The main Vrak fleet has over 100 warships. They control this entire sector, attacking anyone who tries to pass through." Reed's expression did not change, but something cold flickered in his eyes. "They attack research ships, medical ships, civilian transports?" "All of them," Keth confirmed. "The Vrak see peaceful species as prey. They take our technology, our resources, our people as slaves. No one has ever been able to stop them." Reed was quiet for a moment. Then he asked, "How many ships has the Vrak Empire destroyed?" "Thousands," Keth whispered. "Thousands of ships, tens of thousands of innocent people dead." Dr. Park spoke up. "Commander, what about your government? The Altari Federation? Why don't they send warships to protect you?" Keth looked embarrassed. "Doctor, we are a peaceful people. We build research ships and exploration vessels, not warships. Our few defense ships are no match for Vrak raiders. We tried to negotiate with them once. They killed our ambassadors and broadcast the executions across the galaxy as a warning." Reed stood up and walked to the main screen. It showed the wreckage of the Vrak ships floating in space. "Commander, I need you to tell me everything you know about the Vrak Empire. Their bases, their patrol routes, their fleet movements. Everything." "Why, Captain?" Reed turned back to face him. "Because I'm going to destroy them." Keth felt his blood turn cold. "Captain, you cannot be serious. You have one ship, they have hundreds." "I'm perfectly serious," Reed said calmly. "The Vrak Empire ends today." Major Cole smiled, and it was not a pleasant smile. "Commander Kith, you don't understand what humans are capable of." Reed called up a holographic display showing the local star systems. "Area, show us the Vrak patrol patterns based on the data from their ship's computers." The AI's voice filled the bridge. "Analysis complete, Captain. The Vrak have been conducting systematic raids throughout this sector for 8 years. They follow predictable patterns, hitting trade routes and research stations on a regular schedule." Red dots appeared on the display showing Vrak attacks. There were hundreds of them. "They're not just random pirates," Reed said, studying the patterns. "This is organized genocide. They're systematically wiping out peaceful species in this sector." Dr. Park was looking at the data with growing anger. Captain, look at this. They're targeting medical ships, refugee transports, even school ships carrying children. Reed's calm expression finally changed. A muscle in his jaw twitched, and his hands clenched into fists. Show me their main base. Here, Arya said, highlighting a star system 40 light-years away. The Vrak home system. Over 60 ships stationed there, plus orbital weapons platforms and shield generators. And their patrol fleets. Scattered throughout the sector. Usually 3 to 5 ships per group, visiting each system every few weeks to collect tribute and hunt for easy targets. Reed was silent for a long moment, processing the information. Then he made a decision that would change the galaxy forever. Torres, he called to his weapons officer. Plot intercept courses for all Vrak patrol groups. We're going hunting. Yes, sir, Torres replied with obvious satisfaction. Keth jumped up from his chair. Captain, please listen to me. You cannot fight the entire Vrak Empire alone. They will send everything they have against you. Reed looked at the Altari commander with something that might have been sympathy. Commander, you come from a peaceful species. You don't understand how predators think. The Vrak will keep killing innocent people until someone makes them stop. Permanently. But one ship against 100 has better odds than you might think, Reed finished. You've seen what our weapons can do. The Vrak technology is centuries behind ours. More importantly, they're bullies. And bullies always make the same mistake. What mistake? They think everyone else is as weak as their usual victims. Reed turned to his crew. People, we have a mission. There are Vrak patrol groups terrorizing innocent civilians throughout this sector. We're going to eliminate them all. Sir, Pilot Ryan spoke up. What about their main fleet? We'll deal with them after we clean up their patrol groups. First rule of warfare, never fight the enemy where they're strongest. We make them come to us. Commander Keth realized the humans were completely serious. Captain Reed, even if you could destroy their patrols, the main Vrak fleet will hunt you down. They have ships you haven't seen yet. Dreadnoughts, battle cruisers, ships bigger than this one. Reed smiled, and for the first time it was a warm expression. Commander, you're worried about us. That's kind of you. But you don't need to be afraid for humans. You need to be afraid for anyone who threatens innocent people in our presence. Dr. Park brought up another display. Captain, I've been analyzing the Vrak communications we intercepted. They're planning a major raid next week, a convoy of refugee ships fleeing from some war in the outer systems. How many refugees? 50,000, sir. Mostly families with children. Reed's expression went cold again. When and where? The Kepler Junction, in 6 days. The refugees will be in slow transport ships with no weapons. And the Vrak? 15 warships, sir. They're planning to take the refugees as slaves and sell them in the outer rim markets. The bridge was silent for a moment. Then Reed spoke, his voice like ice. Change of plans. We deal with that convoy attack first. Then we start hunting down the patrol groups. Sir, Torres said, with respect, shouldn't we start with the smaller targets? 15 ships is a lot, even for us. Reed shook his head. Alex, there are 50,000 innocent people on those refugee ships. Families, children. If we spend time hunting patrol groups first, those people will be dead or enslaved by the time we get to them. Major Cole nodded in agreement. The captain's right. We save the refugees first. Reed turned back to Commander Keth. Commander, I'm going to ask you something, and I need an honest answer. Will your government object if we destroy Vrak ships? Keth thought for a moment. Captain, my government has been trying to find a way to stop the Vrak for years. If you can actually do it, I think they would be grateful, not upset. Good. Because after we save those refugees, we're going to send a message to every predator species in the galaxy. The message is simple. Peaceful people are under human protection now. Reed stood up and looked at his crew. People, prepare for combat operations. We have 6 days to get to the Kepler Junction. Plot a course that keeps us hidden from Vrak sensors. Course plotted, sir, Ryan reported. Engineering, I want all systems at peak efficiency. This is going to be our first real test. All systems green, Captain. Engineer Beck called from his station. Reed turned back to Keth. Commander, you're welcome to stay aboard and observe, or we can take you back to your ship if you prefer. Keth thought about it. Part of him wanted to run back to the safety of his research vessel, but another part of him wanted to see what these dangerous humans could really do. I'll stay, Captain. Someone should witness this. Good man, Reed said with approval. As the Retribution began to move toward the Kepler junction, Commander Keth realized he was about to see something that would become legend throughout the galaxy. The humans were going to war against an entire empire. And somehow, Keth believed they might actually win. In 6 days, the Vrak would learn what happened when you threatened innocent people in front of humans. It would be the last mistake many of them ever made. Captain Morrell stared at his main screen, watching the ancient human ship approach. He had raided this sector for 10 years, destroying hundreds of ships and killing thousands of aliens. No one had ever challenged him before. Captain, his weapons officer said nervously, that ship is not showing up properly on our sensors. The energy readings are strange. Strange how? Higher than anything in our database, sir. Much higher. Morrell waved his hand dismissively. Old sensors, probably. Broken. Look at that rust bucket. It's been floating dead in space for centuries. One ship against 23, the human captain is either brave or stupid. On the bridge of the Retribution, Captain Reed watched the tactical display. The Vrak ships were moving into attack formation, their weapons charging. Behind them, the research ship Harmony was barely holding together, its shields flickering weakly. Captain, Torres said from the weapons station, I have locks on all 23 hostile vessels. Recommend we eliminate the immediate threats first, then deal with the rest. Reed nodded. Dr. Park, what do we know about these Vrak? The ship's doctor and scientist checked her readings. Arya has been analyzing their communications, sir. The Vrak Empire appears to be a brutal military society. They attack peaceful ships, take slaves, and destroy anything they cannot use. No record of them ever showing mercy. And the research ship? Altari Federation. Peaceful explorers and scientists. No significant weapons. They've never hurt anyone. Reed's gray eyes grew colder. In his long military career, he had seen many bullies. The Vrak were just another type of predator picking on innocent people. Mills, open a channel to the research ship. Channel open, sir. Reed's voice was calm and steady. Research vessel Harmony. This is Captain Marcus Reed of the Earth Defense Fleet. Maintain your current position and prepare to receive aid. Do not be afraid. On the bridge of the Harmony, Commander Keth felt a spark of hope. The human captain's voice was confident and strong. Maybe somehow they would survive this day. Thank you, Captain Reed, Keth replied. We are grateful for any help you can provide. Reed then opened a channel to the Vrak fleet. When he spoke, his voice was like cold steel. Vrak pirates, this is your final warning. You have attacked peaceful non-combatants. Withdraw from this system immediately, or you will be destroyed. You have 30 seconds to decide. Captain Morrell's face turned darker red with anger. Human, you dare threaten the mighty Vrak Empire? We have conquered 12 star systems. We have destroyed 1,000 ships. What can one ancient vessel do against us? You'll find out. Reed said quietly and closed the channel. He turned to Torres. Alex, select your targets. Make it clean and fast. Torres smiled, but it was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a predator about to strike. 8 ships, Captain. The ones closest to the research vessel. I'll use kinetic kill vehicles. No explosions, no debris to harm the Harmony. Fire when ready. Firing now. The Retribution had been built using technology far beyond anything the current galaxy had seen. Its kinetic kill vehicles were simple. In concept, metal rods accelerated to 30% of light speed. They carried no explosives because they did not need any. At that velocity, a small piece of metal had the impact force of a nuclear bomb. 8 projectiles launched from the human warship. They were invisible to the naked eye, too fast and too small for most sensors to track. The wrack ships never saw them coming. The first kinetic round hit Captain Morrell's second-in-command ship. The metal rod punched through the hull like it was made of paper. The ship's reactor exploded instantly, turning the vessel into a ball of fire and debris. The second ship died just as quickly. Then the third, the fourth, the fifth. In less than 10 seconds, 8 wrack warships were destroyed. The remaining pirates stared in shock at the expanding clouds of wreckage that had been their comrades. "Impossible," whispered Morrell. "No weapon can move that fast." His sensor operator was shaking with fear. "Captain, I tracked the projectiles. They were moving at 90,000 kilometers per second. That's 30% light speed. That's impossible. No one has that technology." On the Retribution, Torres was already selecting new targets. "Next 8 ships locked, Captain, ready to fire." But Reed held up his hand. "Wait, let's see if they're smart enough to run." He opened the channel to the remaining wrack ships. "Wrack pirates, you have just seen a demonstration of human military technology. 8 of your ships are gone. You still have 15 left. You can join your dead friends, or you can leave this system and never come back. Choose now." Captain Morrell's bridge was in chaos. His officers were shouting in fear, begging him to retreat, but Morrell's pride would not let him run from one ship, even if that ship had just destroyed 8 of his vessels in seconds. "All ships, attack the human vessel," he roared. "Full weapons power. Destroy them." The remaining 15 wrack ships opened fire together. Plasma cannons, energy beams, and missile launchers all targeted the Retribution. The space around the human ship lit up with deadly energy. On the research ship Harmony, Commander Keth watched in horror. "No ship can survive that. Much firepower," he whispered, but when the light faded, the Retribution was still there. Its shields had absorbed the entire attack without even flickering. The human ship looked completely undamaged. "Well," Reed said calmly, "I guess they chose death." He turned to Torres. "Alex, finish them." "With pleasure, sir." What happened next was not a battle. It was an execution. The Retribution had been designed to fight entire enemy fleets alone. Its weapon systems were built for maximum efficiency and devastating effect. Torres did not just destroy the wrack ships. She dismantled them with surgical precision. Antimatter torpedoes launched from the human warship, each one guided by advanced computers that could calculate trajectories faster than any living mind. The torpedoes did not just hit their targets. They struck the exact spots that would cause maximum damage. One torpedo hit a wrack ship's engine section. The antimatter explosion tore the vessel in half. Another torpedo struck a weapons magazine, causing a chain reaction that destroyed 2 ships at once. Particle beams lanced out from the Retribution, cutting through wrack hulls like hot knives through butter. The beams were so precisely controlled that they could slice a ship into pieces without damaging anything nearby. Captain Morrell watched his fleet die around him. Ship after ship exploded or simply came apart under the human weapons. His officers were screaming. His bridge was on fire and his mighty fleet was being destroyed by a single enemy vessel. "Captain," his pilot shouted, "we have to run. We have to get out of here." But it was too late. A kinetic round punched through Morrell's flagship, destroying the engine room. The ship began to spin helplessly, its power failing. Reed's voice came over the communications system one last time. "Captain Morrell of the Wrack Empire, your ship is disabled. Your fleet is destroyed. You have one choice left. Surrender or die." Morrell looked around his ruined bridge. Half his crew was dead, and the other half was wounded. His proud warship was a broken wreck drifting in space. I surrender," he whispered. "Louder," Reed said coldly. "I surrender," Morrell screamed. "Good. Power down all weapons and prepare to be boarded. Any attempt to resist will result in your immediate destruction." The battle was over. In less than 5 minutes, the human warship had destroyed 22 wrack ships and disabled the last one. The research vessel Harmony was safe. On the bridge of the Harmony, Commander Keth and his crew stared in amazement. They had never seen anything like the power the human ship had displayed. The weapons, the shields, the precision. It was beyond their understanding. "Commander," Science Officer Nala said quietly, "what kind of beings are these humans?" Keth shook his head. "I don't know, but I'm glad they're on our side." Dr. Voss was studying his sensor readings. "Commander, the energy output from that human ship is incredible. Their technology is centuries ahead of anything we've seen, maybe thousands of years ahead." Reed's voice came over their communications again. "Research Vessel Harmony, this is Captain Reed. Are you all right? Do you need medical assistance?" "We're fine, Captain Reed," Keth replied. "Thanks to you, we cannot thank you enough. You saved all our lives." "Just doing our job, Commander. But I need to ask, are there more wrack ships in this area?" "Yes, sir. This was just a raiding party. The main wrack fleet has over 100 ships." Reed was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "I see. Commander Keth, would you be willing to come aboard my ship? I think we need to talk about the current state of the galaxy." Keth looked at his crew. They were all scared but also curious. These humans had just saved their lives. Maybe they could be trusted. "Yes, Captain Reed, I'll come aboard." As the Harmony moved closer to the Retribution, Keth wondered what he would find on the human ship. What kind of people could build such devastating weapons? What kind of society produced warriors like Captain Reed? He was about to find out. And what he learned would change everything he thought he knew about war, peace, and the nature of justice in the galaxy. The Vrak had learned a hard lesson today. There was a new power in the galaxy, and it did not tolerate bullies. The age of human guardianship was about to begin. 6 days later, the Retribution arrived at the Kepler Junction. The area was a natural meeting point for trade routes, with 3 jump gates connecting different star systems. It was also the perfect place for an ambush. Captain Reed stood on the bridge, watching the tactical display. The refugee convoy was already there, 12 large transport ships moving slowly through space. Each ship carried over 4,000 refugees fleeing from wars in the outer systems. "Area, scan the transports," Reed ordered. "Scanning complete, Captain." 48,732 life forms detected, mostly civilians, families, elderly, children. Medical readings show signs of malnutrition and exhaustion. Dr. Park looked sad as she read the reports. "Captain, these people have been running for months. Their ships are old and barely holding together. They have almost no food left." Commander Keth, who had stayed aboard the human ship, pointed to the display. "There, Captain, the Vrak ships are coming. 15 Vrak warships dropped out of hyperspace, right on schedule." They moved into attack formation around the helpless refugee convoy. The transport ships had no weapons and shields too weak to stop a single Vrak torpedo. On the lead Vrak ship, Admiral Voss watched the convoy with satisfaction. He was even larger than Captain Morrill had been, with metal claws grafted onto his hands, and cruel red eyes that glowed in the dark. "Signal the transports," he ordered. "Tell them to surrender or we start destroying ships." His communications officer sent the message. The reply came from the convoy leader, an old alien with a tired voice. "Please, Admiral Voss, these are just refugees. We have nothing of value. Just families trying to find safety." Voss laughed, a horrible sound. "You have something very valuable, old fool. You have people. Healthy slaves sell for good money in the rim markets. Surrender now and we will kill only half of you as an example. Resist and we kill everyone except the strongest workers." The convoy leader's voice cracked with despair. We surrender. Please don't hurt the children." "Too late for that," Voss said coldly. "We always hurt the children first. It keeps the adults obedient." But before Voss could give the order to board the transports, his sensor operator shouted a warning. "Admiral, ship decloaking off our starboard side." The Retribution appeared like a ghost materializing from nothing. Its stealth systems had kept it completely hidden until Captain Reed chose to reveal himself. Reed's voice came over all communication channels, Vrak and refugee ships alike. "Vrak warships, this is Captain Marcus Reed of the Earth Defense Fleet. You are attacking defenseless civilians. Withdraw immediately or be destroyed. Admiral Voss stared at the human ship on his screen. It looked familiar somehow. Then he remembered the reports from Captain Morrell's failed raid. Only one ship had survived that disaster, and it had brought stories of a mysterious human vessel with impossible weapons. So, Voss said slowly, you are the human who destroyed Morrell's fleet. I am. And I'm the human who's about to destroy yours if you don't leave those refugees alone. Voss felt a cold fear in his stomach, but his pride would not let him back down, in front of his crew. Human, you are outnumbered 15-1. My ships are larger and more powerful than Morrell's raiders. Leave now, or share his fate. Reed's response was calm and final. Admiral Voss, I'll give you one more chance. Turn your ships around and leave this system. Never attack civilians again. This is your only warning. And if I refuse, then you and every ship in your fleet will die in the next 5 minutes. Voss's anger overcame his fear. Attack. All ships destroy the human vessel. The 15 Vrak warships opened fire together. Their combined firepower was massive, enough to destroy a small moon. Plasma cannons, energy beams, and missile launchers all targeted the Retribution. On the refugee ships, people watched in terror as the space around the human vessel lit up with deadly energy. Surely no ship could survive such an attack. But when the light faded, the Retribution was still there, completely undamaged. Impressive, Reed said over the comm. Now let me show you what real weapons look like. What happened next made the first battle with Morrell's pirates look like a training exercise. The Retribution did not just destroy the Vrak ships, it dismantled them with surgical precision. Torres had spent 6 days studying Vrak ship designs and planning the perfect attack. Antimatter torpedoes launched from the human warship, but these were different from the ones used before. These torpedoes split apart as they approached their targets, becoming dozens of smaller warheads that struck multiple points on each ship simultaneously. One Vrak cruiser tried to turn and run. 3 kinetic rounds hit its engines, weapons, and bridge in perfect sequence. The ship was disabled but not destroyed, its crew trapped and helpless. Another ship attempted to ram the Retribution. A particle beam sliced it cleanly in half, the 2 pieces spinning away into space. Admiral Voss watched his fleet die around him. Ship after ship exploded or simply came apart under the human weapons. The Retribution moved through space like a predator among prey, its weapons striking with deadly accuracy. Impossible, Voss whispered. No one has this kind of power. His flagship shuddered as kinetic rounds destroyed its weapon systems. More rounds took out the engines, then the shields. In seconds, his mighty warship was a helpless wreck. Reed's voice filled the bridge. Admiral Voss, your fleet is destroyed. Your ship is disabled. Surrender now and I might let some of your crew live. Voss looked around his ruined bridge. 14 ships destroyed in less than 4 minutes, his own ship crippled and helpless. The human had done exactly what he promised. I surrender, Voss said quietly. Signal all surviving Vrak vessels to surrender immediately, Reed ordered. Any ship that tries to escape will be destroyed. The few remaining Vrak ships, their captains terrified by what they had witnessed, quickly surrendered. Reed opened a channel to the refugee convoy. Transport ships, this is Captain Reed. You are safe now. The Vrak threat has been eliminated. The old convoy leader's voice was filled with tears of relief. Captain Reed, thank you for saving us. How can we ever repay you? No payment necessary, Reed replied. Just get your people to safety. But Reed was not finished. He opened a channel to Admiral Voss's ship. Admiral, I want you to send a message to every Vrak ship in the galaxy. Tell them what happened here today. Tell them that humans are now protecting civilian ships in this sector. Any Vrak vessel that attacks non-combatants will be hunted down and destroyed. And if I refuse, then I'll broadcast the message myself, along with footage of your fleet being destroyed. Your choice. Voss, broken and defeated, agreed to send the message. Over the next 3 months, the Retribution hunted down every Vrak patrol group in the sector. One by one, They were found and eliminated. The few that surrendered were allowed to leave with a warning. Never return, never attack civilians again. The main Vrak fleet, over 100 ships strong, came looking for the mysterious human vessel. They found the retribution waiting for them in an asteroid field, using the rocks as cover and weapons. It was not a battle. It was a massacre. Reed and his crew fought with the cold efficiency of enhanced humans who had been born for war. They used the asteroids as kinetic weapons, launching them at Vrak ships with precise calculations. They laid antimatter mines in the enemy's path. They struck from multiple directions at once, their ship appearing and disappearing like a ghost. When it was over, the Vrak Empire was finished. Their home fleet was destroyed, their patrol groups eliminated, their ability to threaten anyone else permanently ended. Word spread throughout the galaxy about the mysterious human ship and its deadly crew. Other predator species heard the stories and decided to find easier hunting grounds. Pirates and raiders began avoiding the sectors where the Retribution was known to patrol. Commander Keth returned to the Altari Federation with an incredible story. He told his government about the humans, about their power, and about their mission to protect peaceful species. The Federation Council voted unanimously to establish formal relations with Captain Reed and his crew. They offered supplies, information, and friendship to the humans who had saved so many innocent lives, but Reed declined most of their offers. The Retribution needed little from others. Its technology was far beyond anything the galaxy possessed. Instead, Reed made a simple request. He wanted the Federation to establish a communication network, a way for peaceful ships throughout the galaxy to call for help when they were in danger. Any distress signal from a civilian vessel will be answered, Reed promised. No matter where it comes from, no matter how far we have to travel, the innocent will never face predators alone again. The network was built within a year. It became known as the Guardian Channel, and its simple message was broadcast on every peaceful ship in the galaxy. If you are in danger, call for help. Someone will answer. Captain Reed established a base in the asteroid field where they had first awakened. The Retribution could dock there for repairs and resupply, but it was always ready to respond to calls for help. The ship's crew, enhanced humans who could live for centuries, became legends throughout the galaxy. Stories were told of the sleeping, angels of death who woke only to protect the innocent. Children on a dozen worlds grew up hearing tales of Captain Reed and his warriors, but Reed himself remained focused on his mission. Captain Marcus Reed stood on the bridge of the exploration ship Endeavour, watching the stars through the large front window. The ship moved slowly through space near the Kepler mining station. It was supposed to be a normal day. The crew was checking the area for new minerals and making sure everything was safe. Marcus had been a space captain for 12 years. He had seen many strange things in the darkness between planets, but nothing had prepared him for what was about to happen. "Captain," called out Tom, the ship's scanner operator. His voice was shaky. "I'm getting some weird readings from Sector 7. Something big is coming." Marcus walked over to Tom's station and looked at the screen. The scanner showed a massive shape moving toward them from the edge of space. It was huge, bigger than any ship humans had ever built. The shape was dark and seemed to bend the light around it. "How big is it?" Marcus asked. Tom's hands moved over the controls. His face went pale. "Sir, it's the size of a small moon, and there are more coming behind it." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone stopped what they were doing and looked at the main screen. The dark shape was getting closer. As it moved, the stars behind it seemed to disappear one by one. "Send a message to Earth Command," Marcus ordered. "Tell them we have an unknown contact, very large, possibly hostile." Before Tom could send the message, the communication system made a loud noise. Then a voice came through the speakers. It was not human. The sound was like metal scraping against stone, mixed with something that hurt to hear. "Small creatures," the voice said. "You fear. We taste your fear. It feeds us. It makes us strong." Marcus felt ice in his blood. The voice was speaking inside his head as much as through the speakers. Around him, his crew members grabbed their heads. Some of them started shaking. "This is Captain Marcus Reed of the human ship Endeavour," he said into the communication system. "Identify yourself and state your purpose." The terrible voice laughed. It was a sound like breaking glass mixed with screams. "We are the Voidborn. We come from the spaces between the stars. We have been sleeping for a very long time. Now we are awake. Now we are hungry." On the main screen, the huge dark ship came closer. Marcus could see it clearly now. It looked like it was made of black metal and something organic, like a machine that was also alive. Parts of it moved like breathing. Other parts twisted and changed shape as he watched. "Captain," whispered Lisa, the ship's engineer. "The scanner is showing impossible readings. That ship is not made of any material we know. And it's not just moving through space, it's bending space around it." The Voidborn ship stopped moving when it was close to the mining station. Marcus watched in horror as the station's lights began to go out one by one. The huge structure that housed 3,000 miners and their families was going dark. "Kepler Station, respond," Marcus shouted into the radio. "Kepler Station, what is your status?" There was no answer. On the scanner, the mining station was still there, but it was changing. The metal was turning black, the lights were gone, and somehow Marcus could feel the fear of everyone who had been inside. "They're all dead," Tom said quietly. 3,000 people all dead in less than 5 minutes. But Marcus knew it was worse than that. They were not just dead. Something had been taken from them. Something important had been pulled out and eaten. The Voidborn voice spoke again. "Fear is the best food. Fear makes us grow. Fear makes us powerful. Your people will feed us well." More dark shapes appeared on the scanner. Dozens of them, coming from the deep space beyond the solar system. Each one was huge and wrong-looking. They moved like living things, but they were clearly ships. "Tom, send that emergency message now," Marcus ordered. "All frequencies. Tell Earth Command that humanity is under attack." Tom's fingers moved quickly over the controls. The message went out at light speed toward Earth. But Marcus knew it would take hours to reach them, and he was not sure if hours would be enough. The Voidborn ship turned toward the Endeavour. As it moved, Marcus felt something cold touch his mind. It was like invisible fingers reaching into his thoughts, looking for his fears and making them stronger. He thought about his wife Jane back on Earth. He thought about his daughter Amy. who was only 8 years old. He thought about all the ways they could die if these creatures reached Earth. The fear grew in his chest like a living thing. "Captain," Lisa called out. "The ship's systems are acting strange. The computer is showing errors I've never seen before." Marcus looked at the control panels around the bridge. The lights were flickering. The displays showed numbers and letters that made no sense. It was like the ship itself was becoming afraid. "How is that possible?" he asked. "I don't know," Lisa said. "But the more afraid we get, the worse it becomes. It's like our fear is affecting the ship's systems." The void-born voice laughed again. "Yes, small creatures. Your fear changes everything around you. It makes you weak. It makes us strong. Soon your whole species will know fear. Soon your whole species will feed us." Marcus made a decision. He had been a soldier before he became a space captain. He knew that sometimes the only way to fight fear was to do something brave. "Everyone, listen to me," he said to his crew. "These things feed on fear. The more afraid we are, the stronger they get. So we're going to do something they don't expect. We're going to fight back." "Captain," Tom said, "our weapons are not designed for combat. We're an exploration ship." "Then we'll make them combat weapons," Marcus replied. "Lisa, can you convert our mining lasers into something more powerful?" Lisa nodded slowly. "Maybe. The mining equipment has enough power. But Captain, that ship is huge. Our weapons might not even scratch it." "We don't need to destroy it," Marcus said. "We just need to survive long enough to warn Earth. And maybe we can learn something about these creatures that will help humanity fight them." The void-born ship moved closer. As it approached, the Endeavor began to shake. The lights on the bridge went dim. Marcus could hear his crew members breathing hard. The fear was growing stronger, but he also felt something else. Deep inside, past the fear, there was anger. There was a burning rage at these creatures who thought humans were just food, who thought they could come to human space and take whatever they wanted. "Start the attack," Marcus ordered. The Endeavor's mining lasers fired at the huge dark ship. The beams of energy hit the black hull and created sparks of light. The void-born ship did not seem damaged, but it slowed down. "Did we hurt it?" Tom asked. "No," Marcus said. "But we surprised it. I don't think it expected us to fight back." The void-born voice spoke again, but this time it sounded different, less sure of itself. "You resist? Impossible. All creatures fear us. All creatures feed us." "Not humans," Marcus said into the radio. "Humans fight back." The battle had begun. Marcus did not know if his ship could survive. He did not know if his message would reach Earth in time. But he knew one thing for certain. Humanity would not go quietly into the darkness. They would fight. And maybe, just maybe, that would be enough. The stars watched silently as the small human ship faced the ancient horror from the void. The first battle of a war that would change everything was about to begin. 3 weeks had passed since Captain Marcus Reed's message reached Earth. The news spread like fire through human space. Entire star systems began to panic. The Voidborn were coming, and they were hungry. Admiral James Torres stood in the command center on Mars base, looking at the big screen that showed human space. Red dots marked where Voidborn ships had been seen. Every day there were more red dots. Every day more colonies went silent. "How many ships do we have?" Torres asked his assistant, Colonel Beck. "Not enough, sir," Beck replied. "Our entire military fleet has maybe 200 combat ships. The reports say there are thousands of Voidborn vessels." Torres felt tired. He was 60 years old and had been fighting space pirates and rebels for most of his life. But this was different. This was not a war between humans. This was a war for survival. "What about the civilian ships?" he asked. "Cargo haulers, passenger transports, mining vessels. We have about 10,000 of those spread across human space," Beck said. "But they're not warships, sir." "They are now," Torres said firmly. "Send out orders to every ship captain in human space. Every vessel is to report to the nearest military base for weapon installation. We're going to turn every ship into a fighting ship." While Torres was making plans on Mars, Dr. Elena Vasquez was studying the remains of Kepler mining station. Her research ship floated near the dead structure, scanning the twisted metal and dark energy that remained. Elena was a scientist who studied alien life. She had hoped to make peaceful contact with aliens someday. Instead, she was looking at the aftermath of alien horror. "The readings are getting stranger," said her assistant, Dr. Park. "The metal of the station has been changed at the atomic level. It's like the Voidborn didn't just destroy it, they transformed it into something else." Elena looked at the scanner data. The mining station was still there, but it was wrong. The metal was black and seemed to move slightly like it was breathing. The people who had lived there were gone, but Elena could still detect traces of their fear in the air. "They don't just kill," she said quietly. "They feed on fear, and somehow that fear changes everything around them. The more afraid we become, the stronger they get." She paused, thinking about something that had been bothering her. "But there's something else. The fear is changing us too." Dr. Park looked up from his instruments. "What do you mean?" "I've been monitoring the brain patterns of people who survived Voidborn attacks," Elena explained. "Their minds are different now. The fear has made them harder somehow, more focused. Like the terror burned away everything soft and left only the strong parts." Back on Mars base, the conversion of civilian ships had begun. Lisa Kane, the engineer from the Endeavour, had been brought to oversee the project. She worked day and night, turning peaceful cargo ships into weapons of war. The work was desperate and chaotic. Mining lasers were removed from asteroid ships and mounted on passenger vessels. Cargo containers were filled with explosives and turned into missiles. Every ship that could fly was being turned into a weapon. "This is crazy," said Mike, one of the other engineers. "We're putting military weapons on ships that were never designed for combat. Half of these vessels will fall apart when they fire their guns." Lisa looked up from her work. She had not slept properly in days. Her eyes were red and tired, but they burned with determination. "Then we'll build them stronger. We'll make them work. We have to." The fear had changed Lisa too. The terror of the Voidborn had burned away her doubt and left only pure focus. She could see solutions to engineering problems that should have been impossible. Her hands moved over the ship designs like she was born to build weapons of war. Captain Marcus Reed arrived at Mars base with the Endeavour. His ship was damaged from the fight with the Voidborn, but he and his crew were alive. They were some of the few humans who had faced the aliens and survived. Torres met Reed in the briefing room. The captain looked different. His face was harder, his eyes colder. The fear had changed him too. "Tell me about them," Torres said. Reed sat down slowly. "They're not just aliens, Admiral. They're something else. Something that feeds on terror itself. When they attacked Kepler Station, I could feel the fear of everyone inside, and I could feel how that fear made the Voidborn stronger. Our scientists think the fear is changing us too," Torres said. Reed nodded. "It is. My crew is different now. We move faster, think clearer, react quicker. It's like the terror burned away everything weak in us and left only the parts that know how to survive." Around human space, the same changes were happening everywhere. Ship crews that had been soft civilian workers were becoming hard fighters. The constant fear of the Voidborn was transforming humans into something new. The first test came when a Voidborn scout ship appeared near the colony world of New Texas. The planet had 2 million people and no military defenses. But they had 12 converted cargo ships crewed by people who had been afraid for weeks. Captain Ross commanded the converted freighter Iron Wolf. His ship used to carry grain between planets. Now it carried enough weapons to destroy a small city. His crew used to be farmers and traders. Now they moved like soldiers. When the Voidborn ship appeared, Captain Ross did not run. The fear was there, cold and sharp in his chest. But the fear had changed him. It had made him into a predator. "All ships, attack formation," Ross ordered over the radio. "Remember, they feed on our fear. So let's give them something to be afraid." The 12 converted ships attacked the void-born vessel like a pack of wolves. Their weapons were crude and their tactics were simple, but they fought with desperate fury. The void-born ship used to easy prey was caught off guard. For the first time since the war began, a void-born ship retreated. Dr. Elena Vasquez watched the battle recordings with growing excitement. "Do you see it?" she asked Dr. Park. The human ship stayed solid when they should have been torn apart by void-born weapons. The angrier and more determined the crews became, the more their ships resisted the alien technology. "How is that possible?" Park asked. "I think the fear is doing more than just changing our minds," Elena said. "I think it's changing our biology, making us into something that can fight these creatures." Back on Mars base, Admiral Torres was planning the next phase of the war. Reports were coming in from across human space. More void-born fleets were approaching, but something had changed. Human ships were fighting back. Some were even winning. "The conversion program is working," Colonel Beck reported. "We've armed over 3,000 ships in the past month. Civilian crews are volunteering faster than we can train them." Torres looked at the tactical display. The red dots marking void-born positions had stopped growing. Some were even disappearing. "They're not used to prey that fights back," he said. Lisa Kane entered the briefing room. She looked exhausted but excited. "Admiral, I've finished the new ship designs. They're not just converted civilian vessels anymore. These are purpose-built hunters." She activated a holographic display showing a sleek, predatory-looking spacecraft. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. "I call it the Predator class, fast, heavily armed, and designed by humans who have been changed by fear into something new." Torres studied the design. The ship looked like a metal wolf, built for hunting. "How soon can we build them?" "The first one is already under construction," Lisa said. "But Admiral, there's something else. The workers building these ships, they're changing too. The fear has made them incredibly focused. They're working with precision I've never seen before. It's like the terror is turning us into the perfect enemy for the void-born." That night, Torres stood alone on the observation deck looking out at the stars. Somewhere out there, ancient horrors were coming for humanity. But humans were changing too. The fear that was supposed to make them weak was making them strong. The species that had once built ships to explore the stars was now building ships to hunt cosmic nightmares. And Torres was beginning to think that maybe, just maybe, humanity had a chance. The forge of desperation was reshaping an entire species. And from that forge would come warriors unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. 6 months into the war, Dr. Elena Vasquez made a discovery that would change everything. She was studying captured void-born technology in her lab on Europa Station when she found something that made her blood run cold. "Dr. Park, come look at this," she called to her assistant. Her voice was shaking. Park hurried over to the analysis table where pieces of a destroyed void-born ship lay under bright lights. The metal was still dark and seemed to move slightly when no one was looking, directly at it. "What did you find?" Park asked. Elena pointed to a section of the alien hull that she had been examining. Under the microscope, strange patterns were visible in the metal. "These aren't just random designs," she said. "They're genetic codes, DNA sequences from dozens of different species." Park looked through the microscope and gasped. "Those patterns, some of them look almost familiar." "That's because they are," Elena said quietly. "I've been comparing them to our database of known alien species. Dr. Park, the void-born aren't just one species. They're made up of hundreds of different species that they've consumed over millions of years." The implications hit Park like a physical blow. "You mean they don't just feed on fear and kill their victims? They absorb them. They become them." Elena nodded grimly. "Every species that the void-born have ever encountered has either been completely destroyed or has become part of them. They're like a cosmic infection that spreads from galaxy to galaxy, consuming entire civilizations." She pulled up more data on her computer. "But there's something else, something that might be even more important. The fear they create in their victims doesn't just feed them. It changes the victims at a genetic level. It's like the terror unlocks hidden potential in the species they attack." "What kind of potential?" Park asked. Survival potential, Elena said. The species that survive long enough under void-born attack begin to evolve rapidly. They become stronger, faster, more intelligent. But most importantly, they become more aggressive, more predatory. Meanwhile, Captain Marcus Reed was commanding the first squadron of the new Predator-class ships. His vessel, the Retribution, was sleek and deadly. It moved through space like a living hunter, its hull shifting and adapting to different situations. Reed himself had changed dramatically over the past months. His hair had turned completely gray, but his body was stronger than it had been in years. His reflexes were inhuman. His crew moved with the same predatory grace, communicating in short, efficient phrases. "Contact ahead," reported his scanner operator Jones, void-born cruiser, heading toward the mining colony on asteroid belt 7. Reed studied the tactical display. The void-born ship was larger than his own, but he felt no fear. The terror that had once paralyzed him had been burned away, leaving only cold calculation and hunting instincts. "All ships, attack formation Beta," he ordered his squadron. "Remember, we're not just fighting them, we're hunting them." The 5 Predator-class ships moved like a pack of space wolves. They approached the void-born vessel from different angles, their movements coordinated without the need for radio communication. It was as if they could sense each other's intentions. The void-born ship tried to use its phase technology to slip through their attacks, but something was different. The human ships remained solid and real, their weapons striking true. The void-born's attempt to feed on human fear backfired. Instead of terror, they encountered cold rage. "Impossible," came the familiar voice of the void-born through the communication system. "You should be afraid. You should feed us. What are you becoming?" Reed smiled, but it was not a human smile. It was the smile of a predator that had found its prey. "We're becoming what you made us," he said into the radio. "We're becoming your worst nightmare." The battle was swift and brutal. The Predator ships tore through the void-born vessel like it was made of paper. When it was over, Reed felt a strange satisfaction. It was not the satisfaction of victory, it was the satisfaction of a successful hunt. Back on Europa Station, Dr. Elena Vasquez was making more disturbing discoveries. She had been studying the genetic changes in humans who had been exposed to void-born attacks. What she found terrified and amazed her at the same time. "The changes are accelerating," she told Admiral Torres over a secure video link. "Humans who have been in combat with the void-born are evolving at an incredible rate. Their DNA is rewriting itself." Torres looked tired. He had been coordinating the war effort for months, and the stress was showing. But like all humans in the war, the fear had changed him. He was sharper, more focused, more ruthless than he had ever been. "What kind of changes are we talking about?" he asked. "Improved reflexes, enhanced pattern recognition, increased aggression, better coordination with other humans," Elena listed. "But there's more. Their brains are developing new neural pathways. They're becoming something between human and something else." "Something else like what?" Elena hesitated. "Like a species designed specifically to hunt the void-born. Admiral, I think the fear they create in us isn't just feeding them. I think it's accidentally creating their perfect predator." On Mars base, engineer Lisa Kane was experiencing these changes herself. She worked 18 hours a day designing new weapons and ships, but she never felt tired. Her mind operated with machine-like precision, seeing flaws and solutions that should have been impossible to detect. She was working on a new type of weapon when she made a breakthrough. "The void-born phase technology works by shifting their matter to a different dimensional frequency," she explained to her team. "But humans who have been exposed to enough fear develop a kind of quantum awareness. We can track them even when they're phased." Her assistant, Tom, looked at the weapon designs with amazement. "These aren't just guns, Lisa. These are instruments of predation. They're designed to hunt specific prey." Lisa nodded. The old Lisa would have been horrified by what she was creating. But the new Lisa, the one forged by months of terror, felt only satisfaction. "The void-born taught us fear," she said. Now we're going to teach them what humans do with fear. The first field test of the new weapons came when a void-born battle fleet appeared near Earth's moon. 50 massive ships materialized from the void, ready to consume humanity's homeworld. But they were met by something they had never seen before. 300 human ships rose from Earth's surface in hidden bases. They moved with perfect coordination, like a single organism with many parts. Captain Reed led the first wave of attacks. His ship and crew had evolved even further during their months of hunting. They no longer looked entirely human. Their eyes were sharper, their movements more fluid, their thinking more predatory. "They're trying to phase out," Jones reported as the void-born ships began to flicker. "Track them," Reed ordered. His crew's enhanced senses could follow the alien ships even when they shifted dimensions. Fire when ready. The battle that followed was unlike anything in human history. The Voidborn, for the first time in their existence, found themselves outmatched. The humans had become something they didn't understand, a species that grew stronger from fear instead of weaker. Dr. Elena Vasquez watched the battle from her laboratory and realized the horrible truth. "They're not just winning," she whispered to herself. "They're enjoying it." The humans were no longer fighting for survival. They were hunting for pleasure. The fear that the Voidborn had used to control them had transformed them into something terrifying. As the last Voidborn ship exploded in the space near Earth's moon, Elena made a final, chilling observation. The humans weren't just becoming the Voidborn's perfect predator. They were becoming something that other species would fear just as much as they had once feared the Voidborn. The prey had become the hunter, and the galaxy would never be the same again. 2 years after the first Voidborn attack, Captain Marcus Reed's hunting fleet discovered something that would end the war forever. They had been tracking a massive Voidborn formation to the edge of the galaxy when they found it, a structure so huge it defied understanding. The Voidborn nexus was the size of a small moon, made of the same dark, living metal as their ships. It floated in the void between galaxies, pulsing with energy from 1,000 different species that had been consumed over millions of years. Reed stood on the bridge of the Retribution, studying the massive structure through his enhanced vision. His crew of evolved humans moved silently around him, their predatory instincts focused on the ultimate prize. "Scanner analysis," he ordered in his new voice, softer than human speech but somehow more threatening. Jones, whose transformation had turned him into something between human and living computer, processed the data at superhuman speed. "It's not just a ship or a base," he reported. "It's their source. Every Voidborn that has ever existed was created or controlled from that structure." Reed smiled his predator's smile. After 2 years of hunting, they had found the heart of their prey. "Send word to Admiral Torres, tell him we've found their home." The message traveled across space through quantum communication networks that human engineers had built, using technology learned from studying Voidborn remains. Within hours, every human hunting fleet in the galaxy was moving toward the Nexus. Admiral Torres commanded the assault from the bridge of the massive hunter ship Apex Predator. The vessel was 3 kilometers long and built entirely by evolved humans using materials that were part metal, part organic. It was beautiful and terrifying, a work of art designed for destruction. Torres himself had completed his transformation. His body was lean and powerful, his mind capable of processing tactical information at computer speeds. He no longer remembered what it felt like to be afraid. He only remembered the joy of hunting. "Fleet status," he ordered. Colonel Beck, who now served as his tactical coordinator, reported from his station. 500 hunter ships in formation, 50,000 evolved humans ready for the final hunt. All fleets report ready for assault. Torres looked at the massive Voidborn nexus on the main screen. After 2 years of fear and transformation, humanity was about to complete its evolution from prey to ultimate predator. "Begin the attack," he ordered. The assault on the Voidborn nexus was like nothing the universe had ever seen. 500 human ships moved with perfect coordination, their attack patterns flowing like a deadly dance. They no longer needed complex battle plans or communication systems. Each crew thought and acted as part of a larger hunting mind. The Nexus defended itself with weapons that could destroy stars and technology that bent reality itself. But the evolved humans moved through the attacks like smoke, their ships adapting and changing to survive anything the Voidborn could throw at them. Captain Reed led the first wave of boarders into the Nexus itself. His assault team moved through the alien corridors like living shadows, their enhanced senses tracking every Voidborn defender. The fighting was brutal and swift, but as they penetrated deeper into the structure, Reed made a discovery that shocked even his transformed mind. The Nexus was not just a Voidborn base, it was a museum of cosmic horror. In vast chambers, Reed and his team found the preserved remains of hundreds of alien species. Each one had been consumed by the Voidborn over millions of years. Each one had fought and lost against the cosmic terror. "Look at this," whispered Lieutenant Kane, her enhanced vision reading information from alien displays. "These records go back billions of years. The Voidborn have been doing this since the universe was young." Reed studied the displays showing galaxy after galaxy consumed by Voidborn fleets. Countless civilizations reduced to nothing more than genetic data stored in the Nexus databases. But then they found something else. In the deepest part of the Nexus, they discovered the Voidborn Command Center. And there, controlling everything, was something that had once been like them. The Master was a being made from the combined consciousness of every species the Voidborn had ever consumed. It was ancient beyond measure, powerful beyond understanding, and absolutely terrified of the humans who had just broken into its sanctuary. "You should not be here," the Master said, its voice carrying harmonics of 1,000 dead civilizations. "You should be afraid. You should feed us. What are you?" Reed stepped forward, his evolved form moving with predatory grace. "We're what?" "You made us," he said simply. "We're your replacement." The final battle was not between armies or fleets. It was between two apex predators, the ancient master that had ruled the galaxy through fear, and the evolved human who had learned to use fear as a weapon. Reed moved faster than thought, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to dodge attacks that could shatter planets. The master fought with the power of 1,000 consumed species, but it had grown weak from eons of easy feeding. When Reed's weapon finally pierced the master's core, something unprecedented happened. Instead of dying, the master was absorbed. Reed felt the knowledge and power of billions of years flow into his transformed mind. He understood everything now. The Voidborn had been created by an ancient species that had tried to evolve beyond physical form. They had succeeded, but in doing so, they had become dependent on the fear of others for survival. Humanity had done something different. They had used fear to evolve while remaining physical, becoming perfect predators that could hunt across multiple dimensions and realities. With the Master destroyed, the Voidborn throughout the galaxy began to die. Cut off from their source, they simply ceased to exist. The cosmic terror that had plagued the universe for billions of years was finally over, but the victory came with a price. As Reed absorbed the Master's power, he felt himself changing even further. He was becoming something beyond human, beyond Voidborn, beyond anything that had existed before. Dr. Elena Vasquez watched the end of the war from her laboratory, now deep underground on Earth. Her instruments detected the moment when the last Voidborn died, when their terror finally ended. But she also detected something else. The evolved humans were not stopping their transformation. Having conquered their greatest fear, they were continuing to change, continuing to evolve into something new. "Dr. Park," she called to her assistant, who had also completed his transformation. "The war is over, but the evolution isn't stopping. What are we becoming?" Park studied the genetic data streaming across their screens. "We're becoming what the galaxy needs," he said quietly. "The ultimate predators. The species that will hunt down any cosmic horror that threatens life." Around the galaxy, other alien species watched the end of the Voidborn with mixed emotions. They were grateful to be free from the ancient terror, but they were also afraid of what humanity had become. The species that had once been peaceful explorers were now evolved hunters spreading across the galaxy. They moved through space in their predator ships, searching for new threats to eliminate. New horrors to hunt. Admiral Torres, now transformed beyond recognition, established new bases throughout the galaxy. Human hunting fleets patrolled every sector, ensuring that nothing like the Voidborn could ever rise again. Captain Reed, having absorbed the Master's power, became something like a god of hunters. He could see across multiple dimensions, track threats across time itself, and command fleets with his thoughts alone. But the most significant change was in humanity's purpose. They were no longer building ships out of fear. They were building ships out of destiny, the destiny to be the galaxy's eternal guardians, the apex predators that would hunt down cosmic evil wherever it appeared. Dr. Elena Vasquez made her final log entry. The war with the Voidborn has ended, but humanity's transformation continues. We have become something new, a species designed to hunt the darkness that exists between the stars. We are no longer the prey. We are the hunters, and we will never stop hunting. The galaxy was safe, but it was also changed forever. Humanity had risen from fearful prey to cosmic apex predators, and in the vast darkness of space, other ancient evils began to stir, sensing the presence of the new hunters. The universe had a new guardian species, and that species was hungry for the hunt. 1 year after the first Voidborn attack, humanity had stopped running. Admiral James Torres stood in the war room of the new command station called Hunter Base, built in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. The room was dark, lit only by the glow of tactical displays showing the positions of human hunting fleets across the galaxy. Torres himself had changed beyond recognition. His body was lean and strong despite his age. His eyes had developed an inner glow that allowed him to see in complete darkness. Like all humans in the war, the constant fear had evolved him into something new. "Status report," he ordered Colonel Beck, who had also transformed. Beck moved with fluid grace, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to process information at superhuman speed. "We have 12 hunting fleets operating in former Voidborn territory," Beck reported. "Fleet Alpha under Captain Reed has eliminated 17 Voidborn ships in the past week. Fleet Beta has cleared 3 entire star systems. The enemy is retreating from all sectors." Torres smiled, but it was not the smile of the old Admiral Torres. It was the cold smile of a predator that had tasted blood. "Good. Time to increase the pressure. Send word to all fleet commanders. We're not just defending anymore, we're hunting." Captain Marcus Reed commanded Fleet Alpha from his flagship, the Retribution. The ship had grown and changed along with its crew. Its hull was no longer just metal. It seemed to be partially alive, responding to Reed's thoughts and emotions. The bridge was dark and quiet, with only the soft glow of organic-looking controls. Reed himself barely looked human anymore. His skin had a slight metallic sheen. His movements were too fluid, too precise. His crew, 12 other evolved humans, operated their stations with perfect coordination. They communicated through subtle gestures and shared thoughts rather than words. "Target acquired," whispered Jones from the scanner station. His voice was different now, softer but somehow more menacing. "Voidborn heavy cruiser, fleeing toward the outer rim." Reed felt a surge of hunting pleasure. The fear that had once terrorized him had been completely transformed into predatory joy. "Begin pursuit. All ships, hunting formation." The 5 ships of Fleet Alpha moved through space like metal sharks. They no longer needed complex battle plans or radio communications. Each captain and crew had evolved to think and act as part of a larger hunting mind. The Voidborn ship ahead of them was desperately trying to escape. It used its phase technology to slip between dimensions, but the evolved humans could track it easily. Their enhanced senses could follow the alien vessel through multiple layers of reality. "It's afraid," observed Lieutenant Kane from the weapons station. She was Lisa's younger sister, and like Lisa, the war had transformed her into a genius of destruction. "I can taste its fear from here." Reed nodded. The Voidborn's terror was like a drug to the evolved humans, but unlike the aliens, who became stronger from feeding on fear, Humans had learned to use fear as a hunting tool. The more afraid their prey became, the easier it was to track and kill. The chase lasted 3 hours. The Voidborn ship tried every trick it knew. Phasing, quantum jumping, gravity manipulation. Nothing worked. The human hunters followed it through every dimension, every fold in space-time. When they finally cornered it near a dead star, the Voidborn ship broadcast a message. "Please, we surrender. We will leave your space. We will never return." Reed's crew looked at him expectantly. The old Marcus Reed might have accepted the surrender. But the new Reed, the one forged by a year of terror and transformation, felt only hunger. "No mercy," he said quietly. "No survivors." The attack was swift and brutal. The evolved humans didn't just destroy the Voidborn ship. They tore it apart, piece by piece, savoring every moment of their prey's terror. When it was over, they felt satisfied in a way that was both wonderful and horrible. Back on Earth, Dr. Elena Vasquez was documenting the changes in humanity with growing alarm. Her laboratory had been moved underground for security, but also because she could no longer stand normal sunlight. Her eyes, like those of all humans exposed to the war, had become sensitive to bright light but incredibly powerful in darkness. "The transformation is accelerating," she dictated to her computer. "Humans who have been in combat for more than 6 months are no longer recognizably human. Their DNA has been rewritten. Their brain structure has changed. They think differently, move differently, even breathe differently." She paused, looking at brain scans on her monitor. Most disturbing is their psychology. They no longer feel fear in any normal sense. Instead, they experience what I can only describe as hunting euphoria when they encounter enemies. They have become addicted to predation. Dr. Park entered the laboratory. He too had changed. His movements were too quiet, too controlled. "Elena, we've received reports from the outer colonies. The hunting fleets aren't just attacking Voidborn anymore." Elena felt ice in her transformed blood. "What do you mean?" 3 colonies have reported that human hunting fleets have investigated them. The fleets didn't attack, but they studied the colonists like they were evaluating them as potential prey. Elena stared at the data on her screen. She had feared this might happen. The humans weren't just becoming perfect Voidborn hunters. They were becoming perfect hunters of everything. Meanwhile, in the deep space between galaxies, something unprecedented was happening. A Voidborn command ship, one of the oldest and most powerful in their fleet, was experiencing something it had never felt before. Terror. The ship's captain, an ancient being that had consumed 1,000 worlds, stood before a council of other Voidborn leaders. Its form shifted constantly, showing traits of all the species it had absorbed over millions of years. "The humans are hunting us," it reported, its voice carrying harmonics of fear that infected every Voidborn in the chamber. "They follow us through phase shifts. They track us across dimensions. They show no mercy to surrendering vessels." Another council member, equally ancient, rippled with confusion. "This is impossible. Fear is supposed to weaken prey species, not strengthen them. How have these creatures turned our own weapon against us?" "They have evolved," the first captain said. "The fear we created in them has changed them at the genetic level. They are becoming something we have never encountered before. A species that grows stronger from terror instead of weaker." The council chamber filled with the harmonics of Voidborn fear. For the first time in their existence, they were the ones being hunted. "We must retreat," one council member suggested. "Find another galaxy, leave these humans behind." "It may be too late for that," the first captain replied. "They are building ships specifically designed for long-range hunting. Our scouts report that human fleets are already moving beyond their original territory. They are not content to defend themselves anymore. They want to hunt us to extinction." Back in human space, Admiral Torres was indeed planning exactly that. Hunter Base had become the center of the largest military buildup in human history. But unlike previous wars, this wasn't about defense, this was about extermination. How many long-range hunter ships can we build? Torres asked Lisa Kane, who had been promoted to chief weapons designer for all human fleets. Lisa's appearance had changed dramatically. Her fingers were longer and more dexterous, allowing her to work with incredible precision. Her eyes glowed, with an inner light that let her see flaws in designs that others couldn't detect. "We can launch 50 deep space hunting fleets within 6 months," she reported. "Each fleet will be equipped with quantum tracking systems, dimensional phase weapons, and bioadaptive hulls. They'll be able to hunt voidborn across multiple galaxies if necessary." Torres nodded with satisfaction. "And the crews?" "We have over 10,000 volunteers," Lisa said. "All of them have been transformed by extended combat exposure. They're perfect hunters, Admiral. They live for the hunt." As Torres looked out at the construction yards where hundreds of new hunter ships were being built, he reflected on what humanity had become. The species that had once explored space out of curiosity was now preparing to sweep across the galaxy as apex predators. The fear that was supposed to destroy them had instead forged them into something the universe had never seen before, and, now that they had tasted the joy of the hunt, they would never stop. The prey had become the ultimate predator, and the galaxy was about to learn what that meant.